Joining us now are journalist Afua Hirsch, who says that aid ads remove all dignity from those who are suffering, and charity campaigner Dawn Ward, who believes that there is a need for celebrities to raise a profile of causes abroad. So, Afua, no surprise to see The Guardian playing Scrooge here once again. What is wrong, really? I mean, I kind of agree with your premise that, you know, celebrities getting involved in these things, it is superficial, it might be self-serving, they might be doing it just to make themselves look good. But I always come back to the reality, which is if you use celebrities, you get more attention, you bring more awareness to the cause, and you raise more money. These are just inarguable facts.
Well, they are part of the facts, but they're not the full facts. So the reason that I call this poverty porn, and I don't use that word lightly, is because the images in the specific ads I'm talking about are showing children stripped naked, suffering, very vulnerable, at their most exposed. Now, they're images we would never accept if we saw British children portrayed in that way, partly because we have child protection and advertising standards that protect the dignity of British children.
So did you object then to Michael Burke's famous report that led to Live Aid from Ethiopia, where he actually showed babies dying in Ethiopia? Did you object to that?
I object to the way that those babies were portrayed. And actually now,
even though it went on to...
People
hang on, let me finish. Even though it led to Live Aid, to Band Aid, to hundreds of millions of pounds being raised, to quantifiable help being brought to an issue that people were ignoring.
So a couple of things. I'm not arguing for apathy. I'm not saying disengage from crises around the world. Of course, I want people to care about the suffering that's going on all around us. I don't believe it's necessary to do that in a way that dehumanises the subject. And Piers, this is about the long term. Those children 30 years ago are now in another famine that we're now seeing emergency appeals for. Over the period of time since we've seen those images, we've come completely immune because
nobody runs, with great respect, Afua, nobody runs more of these kind of pictures than The Guardian. I mean, The Guardian every single day tugs at our heartstrings with moving pictures like this. Why doesn't The Guardian practice what it preaches?
The reason why that the media, and I think across the media this is a problem.
Including The Guardian?
Across the media. If The Guardian has run these pictures, I would include them. You know, I think I am critical of all media outlets that show children in dehumanised ways. I think I grew up during the time of Band Aid. That's been going on. It's got a history that we don't regard these people as our equals. And Piers, in the long term, I think that the reason, for example, that we're content to live in a world where tens of thousands of Africans are dying in the Med at the moment, being trafficked to Europe, is because we genuinely don't feel that they are our equals. And that comes from these images that send a very strong message that, yes, feel sorry for these people, donate money to save them, but they're not the same as you. They don't deserve
but in terms of their living standards,
as you do.
Many of them are not our equals. Their living standards are appalling.
And that's the kind of narrative that has come out of these ads. Yes, there is poverty here.
Right, but it's a fact.
There is poverty.
It's a fact.
If you want to change that poverty, I would suggest you engage in activism, not charity, because there are structural reasons why people are living these conditions.
Dawn Ward,
you don't see any of that in these ads.
Dawn Ward, you don't agree with this, right?
No.
Why?
Because I don't think we've got, you know, I agree with part of the things she's saying, but I don't think we've got time. I think there's children out there that are genuinely dying every day. So, you know, with activism, we haven't got the time. So if the celebrities going out there and raising awareness and there's one child gets saved, how can anybody discourage that? How can what do we do? Sit at home and do nothing?
That's not what I'm saying.
Ed Sheeran is particularly targeted by this particular body, saying that the video is all about Ed Sheeran. It's literally poverty tourism. The video should be less about Ed shouldering the burden alone, rather appealing to the wider world to step in. But the Comic Relief campaign raises
millions.
Tens of millions. I mean, 82 million.
So a couple of things. Again, I'm not saying that we don't need humanitarian relief. There are ways of doing it. And actually, since Band Aid, which to me was kind of the high point of really exposing people in an inappropriate way, I think we've improved over the last 30 years, treating people with dignity. And we seem to have rolled back lately. And I think that's because of the desperation that in the short term, we urgently need to raise as much money as possible. Now, I understand that, but it causes other long-term problems.
I completely understand what you're saying about exploiting pictures of children and
that's reality.
And
that's
minimising their dignity. But exactly as Dawn says, isn't the problem that these children have been stripped of their dignity by their circumstances?
Exactly.
And that what people are actually trying to do is show the truth of the situation.
And trying to hit home
so
so
that
then
they can
people
raise
give
money
and be
for
generous.
I
with the
don't know,
charities.
have you ever been to a famine or a food crisis?
No, I haven't,
So,
no.
so I've reported on quite a few, and yes, you see people suffering.
Well,
and
Ed
you urge
Sheeran
them to
went
be-
out to
Yes, I've been to
Liberia.
I was in
Yeah.
Liberia a couple of months ago. You do see children who are very vulnerable, and you want
Yes.
to help them.
Yes.
There are ways of doing it. I don't believe that it is necessary. One, I don't think it's necessary to depict people in a state of vulnerability that we would
I
never accept
disagree,
here.
because
And
at the end of the
it's not
day,
only
those
way of
children
raising
are out
money.
there, and that is true life.
And
that is how they're living
It's
their
not
life.
the whole picture, because
But
these
you've
ads
got
make
to
them
hit
look-
home, so these people
ads-
that sat in the warm homes in the UK have an understanding what those children are going through.
See, that's the
There
point.
are
Here-
people
here's
suffering
the
we
point.
here
can't,
would
we
never
can't,
get like that.
here's the
can't
point.
pussyfoot around and make it look better than it is.
Here is my
because that
point.
is how it is.
It's not
Here
the
is
full
my
picture.
point
It's not
for
the full
you.
picture.
When I watched Comic Relief, right, I flicked in and out throughout the however many hours it was. The single moment that most resonated with me and actually made me tweet to 6 million people, please donate, was the Ed Sheeran moment. Now, maybe I did it for the wrong reasons. Maybe I was drawn in by poverty porn. Maybe I was hoodwinked by
But it
him.
worked.
But actually, I saw one of the biggest pop stars in the world going out there, being genuinely moved to tears by what he'd encountered, and that in turn moved me in a way that I have to be completely honest, that just the kind of activism you're talking about, for whatever reason, and it might be the wrong reason, does not resonate in the
Engage
same
people.
way.
And I